Thank you so much for staying with us. Let's quickly take you to Did You See That segment of the program, where we bring you some interesting sound bites that you would like to see. You know, President Muhammadu Buhari ran for president 4 times. Yes, 4 times. Out of those 4 times, interestingly, he's ran with a running mate who are pastors and lawyers. Take a listen to this.
In 2011, he ran with Tunde Bakare, a pastor and a lawyer. In 2015, he ran with Professor Yemi Osinbajo, a pastor and a lawyer. It appears President Buhari has a knack for pastors and lawyers. For the choice of Pastor Bakare in 2011, the president explains his reason.
In the 4th attempts I made to arrive here, one of the attempts we did it with Tunde Bakare. When people said I'm a religious bigot, I decided to take a pastor so that I can shut their mouths up. So Tunde Bakare has decided to be with me all the time. I was not expecting him to be here, but yesterday I think he borrowed a plane from somewhere and he arrived here.
All right, then let's take a drive into other conversation now. You remember that the president was with some other government officials to London for that summit. One of them is Senator Dino Melaye, who joins us now from Abuja studio as we look into the fantastically corrupt comment and the anti-corruption fight of the Buhari government. And of course, we look into other issues as regarding the APC manifesto and what the government is doing right now. Many thanks for joining us on the program, Senator Melaye. Let me take you up quickly on the anti-corruption summit you attended with the president in London, and when that kind of comment came from the British Prime Minister, how did it come to some of you who were on the trip with the president?
Thank you very much, Sheung. I was very happy to be in London for that summit. And I want to say that the statement by David Cameron actually dominated greater part of the conference. And after the speech by Mr. President, I also stood up in that program, and I also told the audience that David Cameron's statement was reckless and demeaning. Nigeria is a sovereign nation, and also to remind him that Nigeria is no longer a colony of the United Kingdom. And I also told the audience and the Member of Parliament and Minister, or Secretary as they call it in the United Kingdom, that the BBC, that is the official broadcasting outfit of the United Kingdom, did a documentary to stipulate that the British government actually rigged the first general elections in Nigeria. I said, with that backdrop, in the light of that misadventure, that they have no moral justification to describe Nigeria as fantastically corrupt. I have no any other country to call my own apart from this country. I will not allow an arrogant president to demean my country, to insult my country. As I speak to you, part of Abacha's loot, 20 years after, is still within the confines and milieu of the United Kingdom. And I also made a strong emphasis that the new born-again status of the United Kingdom will have to be demonstrated positively for us to see the positive concomitant effect. As I speak to you, Alamisia's loot in the United Kingdom is 9 years old. Alamisia is no longer alive. The money is still within the confines and the banks of in the United Kingdom. As I speak to you, there is an agreement that the United Kingdom use in siphoning and retaining monies from Africa stolen and deposited or warehoused in the United Kingdom. When people loot from Africa, they loot from Nigeria, they take it to the United Kingdom. There is a clause in Barclays Bank in London and other banks in the US and other super nations where they signed what they call a non-disclosure agreement. So I asked the Prime Minister, sorry, I asked the Secretary and Member of Parliament who was in the program that come. I want him to tell me, in the spirit of this new born-again status of the United Kingdom, are you going to abrogate this non-disclosure agreement? Will you stop signing non-disclosure agreement with Africans who loot the economy of their nations and come to warehouse them in the United Kingdom and other parts of the world? He could not respond. He could not answer that question. So I'm not saying that there is no tendency of corruption in Nigeria. Nigeria, like every other developing country, and even the United Kingdom and US, have tendencies of corruption. The magnitude vary from one country to another, but it is not in the place of those who harbor corruption. In fact, it is more satanic, more wicked, more nefarious for one who houses corruption than the one who perpetrates it or who commits it.
Well, from our country, if I may quickly come in here, Senator Malai, if I may quickly come in here, from some of the conversations that you had and the activities of the Nigerian government in the last 1 year, does it look like the government of Nigeria is on the right track in fighting corruption?
Yeah, speaking with every sincerity or purpose of heart and commitment, I would say that Mr. President means well. And Mr. President, from my own perspective, is very sincere and tenacious about the fight against corruption. But fight against corruption is beyond individual investigations and prosecution. Nigeria must graduate from building strong men to building strong institutions. Even the anti-graft institutions themselves will have to be completely overhauled to meet the current technological demands of anti-corruption, of the fight against anti-corruption. While I support the fight against corruption and the effort of Mr. President in fighting corruption, it will have to move beyond just mere arrest, detention, to proper prosecution. And our anti-graft agencies must also demonstrate capacity and capability. You don't arrest a man first, and while he's in detention, you are trying to find evidence against him. In other civilized part of the world, investigations must have been concluded. You must have been completely nailed before even prosecution starts. It's, a typical example is the case ongoing in the CCT, where the statement of the principal witness was actually signed 40 days after charges were filed. You can see that's ridiculous, and that is actually undermining and ridiculing the fight against corruption in this country. So I will say there's a serious challenge beyond arrest, detention, that we should go into proper preliminary investigation, proper work should be done before you now just ceremoniously announce sensational figures that will, at the end of the day, not generate anything. But the truth of the matter is that the president is sincere, his efforts are being applauded, and we do hope that those around the president will also sincerely support the fight against corruption and don't use it as an instrument of witch hunt or political victimization. When we
wonder, you are a member of the Senate, and the role of you and your colleagues to make laws for Nigeria. From some of the things that you've heard and participated in on the sideline and in the mainstream of the conversation that a summit there in London, what are the takeaways that you've gotten that you're taking back to your constituency, that is the Nigerian Senate, to making sure that Nigeria can stand tall in a couple of years as a nation that has rid itself of impunity and corruption?
From my attendance of the conference in London, I would say I have nothing to take from that conference to Nigeria. Nigeria is a very responsible responsible nation, I mean to say. When our problems are domestic and they have to be domestically tackled, we need to look for ameliorative and palliative measures to our problems within Nigeria. We do not need a David Cameron on the United Kingdom to teach us how to fight corruption, because corruption is also very, very engrossed in their own country. And what I just suggest is that we need to come back and look at our laws. Most of our laws are obsolete and archaic. For example, for a kidnapper, the maximum he gets, according to extant laws of this country, is 3 years imprisonment. And I have advocated on the floor of the Senate for capital punishment, either death by hanging or by gunshot. You know, so we need to actually look at some of these laws, and I think the Senate have taken a lead in that direction, because the Senate President 3 days ago announced the formation of the Transparency and Delivery Commission that is going to be independent, and this commission will collaborate with international organizations and also institutional partners in Nigeria to help fight corruption, carry out proper oversight functions against the MDAs, and to make sure that there's proper implementation of all budgets at all levels, and to make sure that the fight against corruption is given a serious meaning.
All right, let's quickly leave the anti-corruption debate and move into some other issues that's pertaining to the ruling All Progressives Congress in Nigeria, a party that you belong to, Senator Melaye. A lot of talks have been on the promises of your party. I remember you were largely the MC, the compere of most of the campaigns of your party. Presently now, would you say you are proud of some of the actions of your government, of the government in which you've worked to bring to pass in some of the campaigns that you did?
There's no denial to the fact that I participated very seriously in the campaigns of the APC, and I'm very proud and I have no regret about that. And I want to say categorically that the APC manifesto we are not distracted from the implementation of that manifesto. But I also want to say that we will have to be very careful as a party, because those signals that actually bedeviled the PDP are beginning to also manifest in the APC. But I want to say that our problems are not beyond us. Like every other political party, we may have our teething problems, but I know we will overcome them. And I know that there's sincerity of purpose on the part of the President, and especially the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, in repositioning this party through the instrumentality of the manifestos that we have given to Nigerians. And wherever we think we are not getting it right, it is our obligation to be sincere enough to correct ourselves and to also speak out, because in an unjust society, silence is a crime.